Hello, Bad Company. I am Gentle Leviathan. I'm the fireteam leader for Adherent, and today we're going to be showing you how to make a Halo 5 model completely from scratch, start to finish. So the first thing you're going to want to need to do is you need Blender 2.79b. This is very important that you get that specific version. And then the second thing you're going to need is the CATS Blender plugin. This is used by the MMD people for fixing their models and converting their Visine languages and stuff like that. We're going to use it to apply a full body fix, and that's important, I think, personally, because you might get full body later down the line. Just something to consider. These will be linked in the video description for both of these tools, as well as the Unity version that you'll need. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to open our tech suit. This is the one that Evo posted in General Assets. It is not the one in the MediaFire, because that one does not come rigged. This one is rigged, and it's ready to start appending files to. You're going to open it up. It's going to look just like this. You're going to press N to open up your properties toolbar. That's this over here. We're going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and if you have CATS, you'll have this. Just hit reset. If you don't have CATS, you can go down here and go to solid. So this is our starting framework. We're going to weight paint the individual armor pieces to this model. So let's do a basic rundown of some Blender hotkeys. You've got T to open and close your toolbar, N to open and close your properties, R is for rotating, G is for translating, and S is for scaling. And if you press one of them and then hold Control, you can use snapping. So you can see that in the bottom left down here. That's you'll see it down here. It shows exactly how much scaling you've done. Even if your armor pieces don't line up perfectly, they're usually in powers of 10, so you can scale down exactly 10 and get it to line up pretty good. Okay, and then the second thing is in Blender you have two views, just like in Unity. You have perspective, which is this mode, and you have orthographic, which is this mode. Basically, it just makes the 3D look more 2D, so you can navigate a little easier. When you're in orthographic mode, that's 5 on the numpad. You can use view snapping, and that is on your numpad. That is 1 for forward, 3 for right, Control 1 for backward, 7 for up, stuff like that. It's pretty simple, just kind of mess with it until you figure it out. First thing I'm going to do, I like to work in this particular view. It just makes it a whole lot easier to get things lined up and scaled. So I'm going to go File, Import. We're going to import a .obj file, that's wavefront, and then we're going to navigate where we keep our Halo 5 models. In this case, it's right here. I'm just going to build something kind of random. Maybe we'll go with Recon for the body. So yeah, in this case, it's not scaled properly, so what we're going to do is just hold S and Control, and we're going to scale it down until it looks about right. The most important thing and easiest way to tell is if you've got the fingers lined up. I also like to use lock to cursor on the view. That just makes it so that the camera pans around where you click instead of the center point down here. Something about like that's pretty good. Alright, good enough. And then say we'll do the pilot helmet. Just make this thing a mashup of disgusting parts. That's pretty good. Another thing about some of the Halo 5 models is they come looking like this. You see how this one looks smooth and shaded well, and this one's got the sharp edges. The way we do that is we go into edit mode, and this is going to bring this up. We're going to go to shading/UVs on the left, and we're going to change faces to smooth. And sometimes occasionally they'll have blue lines that look like this. To fix that, you do edges smooth. Once it looks like that, it'll be fine in Unity. Okay, so once we have our basic Spartan set up, we are going to go and set up materials for it. In this case, it does have a material already. They're just not named properly, and our meshes aren't named properly either. So this is the hierarchy. This works very similar to how the panel on the left would work in Unity. We can just right-click and rename this. I'm going to rename this Recon Base. I'm going to rename this Pilot Helmet. pilot visor. We want to do the same thing with our materials. The Halo 5 materials work by you have one material for the body, that is the entire lower portion of the body, chest, arms, legs, everything. So you're just going to have one material for those, and then you have a different material for the helmet and a different material for the visor. And each individual piece, a lot of people like to mix and match armor pieces, each piece will have to have its own material. So say for example you wanted to use Wrath shoulders on this, but you wanted to do the rest of it recon, you would have a material just for both Wrath shoulders. I'm just going to rename mine recon pilot. And then since this one has a different material, actually no, we're not going to do that. Just going to name this one pilot helmet, and this one pilot visor. Okay, so this is our basic pieces. We have ourselves set up and ready to go. First thing we're going to do is we're going to save as something else that is not the tech suit. Because the tech suit comes as a blend file, we want to save this as another blend file. I'm going to name it Recon Pilot for the sake of simplicity. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go into edit mode for the mesh. So how we do that is we select the mesh on the right. There's two different kinds of objects that you'll be dealing with. One is an armature, that is the bone structure, and the second is just a mesh, and that's the actual object itself. We're going to go to the mesh. We're going to hit tab to go into edit mode. That's this button down here. It basically is just a shortcut. And the way I like to do weight painting, which is a lot easier than how a lot of other people do it, is you go to your upside down triangle here. This is your object data. You've got vertex group, shape keys, UV maps, stuff like that. I'm just going to add a vertex group, and I'm going to rename this head because the helmet is going to follow the head bone, and then we're going to hit assign. That's really all you have to do to get these functional. It's a lot easier than using the weight paint tool. The way a lot of other people will do it is they go down here and they go to weight paint, and they're going to go to their vertex group. In this case it would be head, and they brush on the paint instead of assigning it all in one go. And this is totally doable. There's nothing wrong with doing it this way. It's just kind of slow and can be difficult to get perfect, but that's totally acceptable as well. So I like to just do mine this way. It's a lot easier. Okay, and we're also going to do the exact same thing to the body. So for example, this is the chest piece. It needs to follow the chest bone. So what we're going to do is go down here and click this button. Turn this off. That's limit selection to visible. That just hides vertices that you can't see through because of X-ray. And what I like to do is just hover my mouse over one of the vertices in this object and hit L. That's Lima. And that's going to select loose parts. So you can just kind of spam L as you go over the chest piece, pick up all the chest. It's pretty simple, not much to it. And just kind of move around, make sure we got everything, and we didn't get anything we didn't want. And then we're just going to add a chest vertex group and assign. And what's important here is that the vertex groups are capital sensitive, so you do need to make sure that your armature is named correctly, or rather that your vertex groups are named correctly relative to your bones. Okay, and this is our left arm. Since it's going to follow this bone and not the shoulder, it's going to follow the left arm bone. So we're just going to make a new one. We're going to call it left arm and assign. Same exact thing with the forearm. That's going to be left elbow, assign. Left hand, assign. Alright, and that's that entire arm. And then to double check that, we can go ahead and apply an armature modifier to this mesh. So we're going to click on the mesh, go to the blue wrench, add modifier, deform armature. We're going to change the object to armature. Basically this just makes it so the mesh knows that it's supposed to follow this bone, this set of bones, instead of a different one. And then we can click on our armature, go down here, change to pose mode, or you can use the start and stop pose mode in CATS, either one, and test it out. And in this case it doesn't work because I applied that to the pilot helmet. We'll do the exact same thing here. So basic troubleshooting like that. And as you can see, it follows the bones. We're just going to do that for the entire body. The more you make models, the more you will kind of understand how the bones are named and what needs to go where and stuff like that. But for now, the tech suit makes it very simple because all the bones are named the same universally. So. And then for stuff like this, I would assign this to the spine because it's kind of in between the hips and the chest. Really depends on the armor you're using. And then, for example, butt plates or space diapers, stuff like that would be assigned to the hips. Okay, and then if you select something you didn't want, you can use Shift L to deselect by loose parts. Maybe. It's being a little picky, so another thing you can do is box select, that's B, and you can just drag with middle mouse to deselect, or left mouse to select. And you can also use circle select, that's C, it works the same way. Left mouse to select, middle mouse to deselect, and then enter when you're done. Okay, and we're just going to assign this to hips. Alright, and then this here is our left leg. Right leg. And I like to assign my knee pads to the legs rather than to the knees, because if you assign them to the knees, I'll show you what it looks like. It looks kind of janky when you bend your leg. In this model, it's not bad. It looks pretty decent because just the knee pad's not super big. But you can also see what it looks like when it is assigned to the leg. Oh, I'm sorry, I did not remove that. Okay, that's another thing. When you assign, and once you've assigned something to a specific vertex group, and then you assign it to another one, it doesn't automatically remove it from your last one. So you need to go and remove it with the remove button. I personally think that looks better. It's just really up to you. Just depends on the armor set. Test it out and see what you like best. And this is our left foot. You can set up toes if you want. I personally remove my toe bones in Unity, so it's really up to you. I don't like the way it looks when your Spartans standing on their toes. Alright, that's the entire thing weight painted except for the fingers. I wanted to save the fingers for last because they're kind of a pain to set up. It could be easier for you to do this after you've joined your armature, or sorry, after you've joined your meshes to your tech suit. It really just depends. So basically the way these work is you have 3 finger bones. You have your finger bone 1, finger bone 2, and finger bone 3. These need to be assigned to 1, 2, and 3 respectively. So you're just going to have to kind of go through your chest and through the hierarchy here. You can just click the little plus sign to expand as you go along. So in this case, left shoulder, left arm, left elbow, left wrist, and there you've got your finger bones. So in order to get this one, this is the middle finger, to get this particular piece to follow the middle finger correctly, we're going to assign it to B_L_middle 1. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to make a new vertex group, and we're going to have to name it exactly the same way. and assign. Do the same thing with this one. That's B underscore L underscore middle 2 and 3. Assign. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and test that in pose mode. And as you can see, it moves properly. Of course, your fingers wouldn't move like that, but you get the point. Okay, that's all you got to do to get your Spartan entirely weight painted. The second thing I like to double check before joining the mesh to the armature is we want to make sure that we have our materials set up. So always double check this, because if you don't, it's a huge pain to do later. And the most important thing is to make sure your UV map is named UV map on every single mesh you have. If it's not, you're going to lose UV mapping and your textures are going to be screwed. And there's no way to fix that. So no easy way to fix that. It's easier to start over. So that's the first thing I would do. Go ahead and save, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to click on the mesh. We're going to shift click on armature, and we're going to hit Control P and just set that to object. That's the old-fashioned way to do it. It just sets the parent to the armature. The other way that a lot of people do it is they'll go ahead and start at this point. They'll go over into cats, hit the little blue wrench, turn on your full body tracking fix, turn off combine same materials, hit OK, and fix model. That's going to go ahead and join your meshes together. So before you do that, you just want to set all of your parents to armature. So now right now they're all separate meshes. We don't want that in the final of the game because it's unoptimized and ridiculous. So just hit fix model. It's going to join all of them into one mesh. And as you can see in edit mode, it's all one mesh. And one thing to consider at this point is if you did forget to weight paint something or something's not weight painted correctly, you don't need to separate by loose parts to fix it. You can select by material or deselect by material. I'm assuming that's the tech suit. Yep, that's our tech suit. So say for example you wanted to fix the finger bone, but you're getting the tech suit all the time and you're just like struggling to figure out how to get that. The easy way is you just go over here to your materials tab, click on your tech suit material, deselect. Makes it really, really easy when it's all joined together. You can even select just by material, so if I just wanted to mess with the visor, I could just select by the visor, just by the helmet, etc. And that's it. You are pretty much done in Blender. You can go ahead and save, and then for Unity, I strongly recommend you use the FBX format. So you're just going to export as an FBX. You can save it wherever you want, and then we will continue this in Unity in the next part of the episode.